All right, welcome back to another episode of Movie Howl, or
It's a more tame episode, low key, low energy.
Tragic the Gathering, the show. All right, this time we're talking about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Right?
Final Reckoning. Whatever
Because
the
I
hell that's
actually
supposed to be.
momentarily forgot what it was called. I kind of forgot that there was another movie before it. I was like, oh shit, I should have watched the first one before we came in here. Because they jumped straight into it.
They jumped straight into it, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this, is that I appreciated that because I thought about it too. Like, oh, you'd originally picked Thunderbolts, is what we were going to talk about.
And then I realized that Mission Impossible was just coming out. Like, oh, that's today as of when we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably do that instead.
Which, makes sense and content and whatever, but I didn't want to see Thunderbolts. We're just going to be completely honest. If you followed us for any length of time whatsoever, you know how our feelings of Marvel may have changed over the years, as a lot of people's have. But anyways, this movie starts out and just gives you this.
Well, I want to preface by saying that I think we should split this into two videos. We'll do non-spoiler and then spoiler.
Okay.
We can try to split it in half.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think this particular part of it isn't going to be
I'm just saying it for
anything.
anybody watching. Like, this will not be a spoiler one. We'll cut and start again for that.
I will not. Well, now I just want to say what happens at the end. But okay, I won't necessarily do that.
Lilo has to put Stitch down because he's rabid.
Lilo put Stitch down. It was really, they went the other direction with that. I was not expecting that one at all. So it's really hard for me to get past the name because I felt like they really, the advertisements, the things that I'd seen leading up to this really made it seem like this is going to be it. Like, this is the final, this is the end. I don't know how I feel about that for like how it ended. If I felt like that's what it was versus how any of the other ones have ended.
It didn't seem a whole lot different.
Right? It didn't seem as final as like the word final would lead you to believe.
Sure.
I'm not even sure if I felt reckoning.
It felt a little bit like they were leading up to creating a new team, maybe like having a new set of people to come in to do it, because there are a lot of new folks getting involved in the last two movies. I could see them coming back without Ethan Hunt.
No.
And leaning on some of the new characters. I don't think it would work as well.
No, it would not. Just like he's it. He's the reason. And he's the reason, because I mean, it's Tom Cruise is still one of the, if not the greatest movie star in Hollywood working right now. Has been around for a very long time, is still doing these things at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
But the beginning of this, just this compilation of pics and little clips from all the other movies, kind of to summarize some of the things that have happened. And like, if you haven't seen the other movies, you are going to be a little lost because you have no frame of reference for what any of these things that you're watching mean.
Yeah.
There are some meaningful things that they show.
There's not much hand-holding getting into it.
There's not, which is good, which I like that. Like, they know that this is not the first one of these you're ever going to see. And so we're going to give you a little bit to refresh those like us who we didn't go back and watch all the other ones.
Mm-mm.
I still remember, even after all these years later, I still remember most of the details of the first one more than any of the other movies that came after it. Like, there were some major things that happened, some good bad guys, some people who actually, and this is spoilers from the movie we're not even talking about, but people who actually died.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I really remember most of, when I think of the first one that came out, and it was really well done. And they had in this one, there were some good callbacks all the way to that very first movie. And so, yeah, I thought that was well done by them. Some of the things that they did and how they decided to do it.
Yeah, it was a very brief introduction or reintroduction to get you back up to speed, to be like, okay, and it was subtle too. They didn't just go, we're X amount of time later. They're like, there's a scene with a briefing where they're saying, these are the things that, that was Ethan Hunt. That was only 2 months ago.
Yeah,
like
that was good.
It's a good way to like bring you back into it without just being like, okay, boom, 2 months later.
Mm-hmm.
I know Endgame did the 5 years later thing, but they did that as like a shock thing. I remember people gasping in the theater when that showed up on the screen, like, oh my God, like, this is not just, we're going to pick up and it's going to be
like, what did they do immediately
quo.
after? Right. Yeah.
But they did, like I said, this one had a really quick ramp up to get you back up to speed. And then that was it.
Mm-hmm.
You're back in the action. It's, hey, here's where we are from last time. Like, super quick. I appreciated that there wasn't a whole bunch of build up because it's not a short movie. It's like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, and this this movie, the basics of it, it's as wild and crazy as any of these have ever been. I really feel like the Mission Impossible franchise isn't really that separated from something that is as wild and crazy as the Fast and the Furious franchise for the things that they are doing and the level of just disbelief you have to put aside. That the things that are going on, the amount of coincidental things that have to line up in order for this to all work out perfectly and for the mission to go through, it's almost dumb. But if you can suspend the disbelief for a little while, fun romp action, that's what they've always been. This one, there's two main bad guys. One I don't even remember, like the half main bad guy in this movie. Apparently he was in other ones. I don't know if I've seen those movies. The bearded guy, the
Gabriel,
I guess. That he's been in other ones, but it's been so long, and I don't even know if I've seen the last one or two of them that I would even recognize him as a character.
I don't remember him from before except for Dead Reckoning.
Okay.
Like him being the one who the entity chose to be like its representative or its puppet, whatever. I don't remember him from previous ones, but yeah, it said that he was in, I think, the first one.
No, not the first one, because I don't think he was in the first one. I think he's been in several of the other ones after that. I just, like I told you, I remember most of the details about the first one more than the other. Not like I remember a lot of them. I remember the main things, but
I don't know. Yeah, it's very much trying to tie what's happening now into what has happened in the franchise
like
previously.
It's all been leading up, but
kind of like the way what was the last Spectre? Was that the last Bond? No, Spectre wasn't the last one, but that was where they tried to tie everything together, and they tried to like be like, oh, it was me the whole time, your stepbrother or whatever. Like I hate that, but they did what they did well here. It was just tying up loose ends, like connections to past movies and stuff like that. There was no big bad like I've been behind everything all along. It's like this is just sort of related a little bit to previous missions and things that have happened in the past, and it's coming back together now, not in like a huge plot twist way.
Yeah. Was the entity something from other, like the previous movie, like it was established then, and we are now dealing with it? Or?
I think they're retconning the I don't remember which movie it was, the one where he's stealing like this biological weapon.
Okay.
And now they're saying what was really in that was like source code for this this weapon, this
this AI that's
cyber weapon thing that eventually was developed into this other thing. Like that was the genesis of the project that became the weapon that then evolved into the entity kind of on its own. But it's whatever. I'll let them go.
Like, but fine. I mean, that's what you have. You have Ethan Hunt. It's the same formula. Ethan Hunt, he puts together a team. He has to go stop the bad guys. He's got these choices to make. And there really are. There's like three. There's like a triangle of choices. There's what Gabriel the bad guy wants him to do, what the U.S. government wants him to do, and what he thinks is the right thing to do. And the thing I really like about him and him as a character over the course of all of these movies is I view him almost the same way I view Captain America. In the fact that if he says that's the thing to do, you know what? You can probably just shut up and we're going to go with that thing. That he's got the moral compass to make the tough decisions that might be hard for the rest of us. And there were some good moments in here, I thought, where it showed some of the weight of the decisions that could potentially be facing the people who were involved in this.
Yeah.
I did think there was a little bit, I felt like it was very light-handed. Like it wasn't really forced or pushed down our necks. I kind of thought a little bit of woke stuff in here, but like realistically, compared to other movies and things that I've seen, no, this wasn't woke. It wasn't about that. It wasn't really, it was political in the fact that you were dealing with countries and superpowers and potentially an AI being taking over all of the country's potential nuclear arsenals and for the purpose of wiping us out. Like that's the whole. And so Ethan Hunt and the team have to stop the AI from either wiping everybody out or from some whoever it is, our government, this evil person, from getting control of it and to be able to do the same thing.
And what it's doing is logical too. So like, what does it want to do? And it's the whole time I'm just thinking, well, you want to destroy it, so it sees humanity as a threat, so it wants to destroy you. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
It probably does not have a plan beyond that. Like, you don't really have to worry about it. These movies do a masterful job of setting up a series of things you have to do. You need to find the bad guy, so you need to find his assistant. You need to figure out how to get into her. You need to get her on your side. You have these tools that you need to use, and they're just so good at setting up these plans. You know, like how they're going to deal with logistically, like how they're going to deal with, well, it'll probably do this if we do that. It'll expect us to do this, so let's do the opposite. They're like, but what if it knows you're going to do that? So there's this little mind game the whole time, but they make it complex, but not so complex that you can't keep it together in your mind. You don't need like a map to figure out what everybody's trying to do and why.
Like that meme of the guy from
all the red
Sunny
string,
Philadelphia. Yeah, so these Mission Impossible movies, whereas they are somewhat formulaic, it's the formula. Number one, it works. You are the beginning of this movie, the very start, and I don't know if all of them are going to be like this. I have to assume so, and it's not just like in the first week of the opening. But number one, movie theater people, if there's any people who are running movie theaters who are watching, listening to any of this, oh my God, stop it, please! I don't need everything before the previews, and then we see previews, and then you talk for another 10 minutes. Thank you for coming. Oh, the movies are so great. I don't need any of that. But there was a very last one of those. It was Tom Cruise sitting there thanking all the people who helped him make it, thanking you guys.
Thank you for seeing it the way we wanted it to be seen, the way
absolutely
I intended this. Yeah, I thought that was... I think he did that for Dead Reckoning too, didn't he?
Potentially. I remember seeing that in other ones where he was doing that.
And or maybe it was Maverick. It might have been
Maverick, because that was the most recent thing I saw. I think it was Maverick. But even after everything, and I was like, we're sitting in the theater together, and I'm losing my mind, and you're like, are you okay? I'm like,
yeah. I was like, this is why I always purposely come at least 20 minutes late, because it used to be you can count on 20 minutes of previews. Now you can count on 20 minutes of BS, 20 minutes of previews, sometimes another 5 minutes of like this montage of people getting their sodas and like cuddling with the person next to them and realizing that's not the person they came with, and then panicking because they lost, or maybe I was in the wrong movie. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But even after all that, and I'm like, but the Tom Cruise thing, I'm like, all right, that was okay. I didn't mind that. But these movies, although they are formulaic in their own right, there's a reason they keep doing them this way. They work. The people who are involved in it are, I feel like, really trying to give us something fun. They understand that the point of bringing us into the theater is to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Yeah. Yes, I am entertained.
And they do a really good job. I was just listening to the James Bonding podcast. They were kind of talking about Amazon taking over that property and how they're disappointed and worried that Barbara Broccoli let it go, but apparently she was offered $1 billion for it. So they're like, maybe she just doesn't want to do it, but she could probably use $1 billion.
I mean,
and
this is a hard thing to turn down.
Yeah, and they're like, well, maybe Amazon being Amazon and not being so precious about it, maybe they'll let different directors come in. Maybe they'll let Nolan do one. Maybe they'll let Tarantino do one. Like, that'd be bizarre.
Oh my gosh,
that'd be so amazing.
Weird. I would love to see, you know who I would actually, all right, if you're gonna do it, and we're gonna go that we're tangent time. You know who would be great to do a James Bond movie?
Oh,
what's the director of Snatch?
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yes.
I can't think of his name.
Oh, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. Oh, so many goddamn movies.
Siri, who directed Snatch?
Snatch was directed by Guy Ritchie.
That I would love to see that.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, Guy Ritchie, like a Wes Anderson Bond. Like, have them all set in like Adrian Brody's Bond. Have them. They were talking about, and I thought this was really cool. Like, have Michael Fassbender play a Bond in like 1959. Then have Idris Elba play a Bond in like 2010. And just like jump around different time frames, different actors, like different filming styles.
But it's just a Bond
all
doing
episodic,
Bond thing.
just like they used to be. Yeah, they didn't always tie into each other. They didn't always have like connected. Like, Bond's been married before. They don't always bring that up. I think they did once after the Roger Moore era. Either way, Like there's not this long connected lore. And you could do some cool stuff that would be episodic with it. But it got me thinking about doing things in different time periods, and Bond makes more sense in the 50s and 60s, maybe into the 70s, but a little bit less today. They've tried to incorporate more technology into it, but a lot of it's like NCIS kind of bullshit.
Yeah, when they lean a little bit more like that. And Bond movies, there was a time when they did what this movie did that we just watched
During the Brosnan era.
where they were more fantastical.
Yeah,
that's what and Brosnan, controversial as I know this may be, is my favorite Bond. He's my favorite Bond. And don't get me wrong, love Sean Connery, and I really enjoyed Daniel Craig in the physicality that he brought to Bond that wasn't there before. In the same way.
Yeah, I like him a lot. These guys were also they've said it a few times. They want to see an old man, like a Logan. They want to see an old man Bond with Pierce Brosnan now.
Oh, that would be.
And I think it would do well.
But that's the reason that Logan did well, is because it was a well written and it was very thoughtful to the character.
Yeah.
So if we have super tangented. We need to stop with
anyway. The point of it was like this handles technology and keeping up with times and current trends. I think better than Bond does in general. Like a lot of the stuff that happens in the Bond movies, like when Quantum of Solace came out and it was all about oil and energy and all these things, that was kind of past by the time that came out. Like it was very topical when they started making it, and by the time it was out, and then especially by the time it was like on Blu-ray, it's like, yeah, gas prices are still high, but it's not top of mind for everybody anymore. This only became more topical.
Yes,
being about AI, like I thought this is super current.
Super current.
And they just lean into the fantastic technology, but they occasionally have it fail.
Yep.
For the sake of like, I mean, everybody's stuff fails, right? I studied computer engineering and like took like 3 programming languages in college and all this stuff, and I'm pretty well convinced that computers sometimes just do stuff to show us that they can if they want to. Like I've told people that
that's not going to get better
at previous jobs. Like I had high level people who were like, why did this server just do this? And I was like, I think just to show you that if it decides to, it'll just do it. Like there is no reason at all why these problems just happened and why they just stopped. I have no idea why. Oh, it works now. I also have no idea why.
But what did you do?
I don't know. I blew in it, turned it off and on again. I don't...
Take my Nintendo game.
Yeah, I air dusted the inside of my computer. Now it doesn't work. I don't know. This seems like an expensive problem. But yeah, they do a really good job, I think, of if they make the technology BS, they make it like so advanced and so alien. I don't know. I just don't feel the same like this doesn't work that way kind of stuff. Like in, I think, Quantum of Solace, where Bond is trying to figure out who the different people are in this like criminal organization, and he's taking pictures with like a cell phone or something, and he's like, oh no, not you, not, and it's like recognizing all their faces in the dark from like a quarter mile away. Like, no, even for spy tech, I don't think it's going to work like that.
I mean,
but this did a good job of not going too far in some ways. They had the masks, which they only used once, which is just like a trope now.
Right.
I mean, it's the impossible mission force, right? And it's based off a super campy 70s, I think is when the show was out. So I feel like it's gotten more and more serious over the years, but it's still like occasionally goes back into some of this stuff like the masks and all that and the reveals of like who somebody really is. There was a preview for the new Naked Gun movie starring Liam Neeson where a little like Girl Scout walks into a bank during a bank robbery and pulls the mask off, and then all of a sudden grows huge because it's Liam Neeson.
He's like 18 feet tall. He's so tall.
And it's like kind of, yeah, there's a little bit of like that. It kind of feels like this could happen in a Mission Impossible movie, but it was very fun. And so the plot of the movie is just continuing on from the first one. There is a rogue AI that developed within a Russian sub. It was like an algorithm that was meant to help distort sonar and hide this thing from other subs. Somehow it became self-aware and used the sub's own systems to trick the crew into sinking it. So it could just have time to do whatever it was going to do, and it managed to somehow escape. I guess it just connected through whatever links it had back to its base, and it got out. But they need to somehow get it under control, and part of that, one of the steps that they need to follow is they need to get to that sub. They need to get to its source code or whatever, and there's so many twists and turns to get there. And there's so many ridiculous and improbable situations.
Oh my goodness.
It's just,
Oh my goodness.
it's super fun. And there's a lot, I felt what you said earlier. It's a lot like Captain America. Like there are certain scenes where I realized, am I an asshole or is he just really perfect? Like he never gets frustrated with anybody. He never talks down to anybody. He's never like, I just told you. He never says anything like that. He's always super patient. I feel like that might just be how Tom Cruise is. Like he might have just developed this persona and now that's what he really is, because it's kind of the way he seems in all of his interviews and stuff.
It really does. Ever since he lost his mind on Oprah's couch, and he was a little wackadoo for a while, but he, even with that, even with your perspective of him maybe changing, if you cared and were paying, like some people just, they don't pay attention to that kind of thing, even though it's no matter what, it's still kind of in your face. Even if you're trying to not pay attention to it, if you are a part of this media world at all, it's hard to miss things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But even through all that, he still just kept doing it. Still kept making movies.
Yeah.
Still kept doing like Edge of Tomorrow, really good. Like throughout the course of, he's just had bangers after bangers. Some of them were great, but just boom, boom, boom. Like he has been so consistent from the beginning of career through right now.
And they blame like the Mummy failing and the Universal monster movies failing on him taking too much control of that one. But I listened to a lot of these like behind the scenes podcasts where they talk to either big actors or people who are involved like in some production capacity, but sometimes it's just like side actors.
Okay.
Like there was one where they interviewed the guy who played the Apple Store tech that Captain America and Black Widow interact with in Civil War.
I've been airing.
And they're just talking to him like, what was everybody like? And I remember a few of them talking about Tom Cruise and different stuff, and they're like, it seems as though he puts a lot of responsibility on himself because he knows he's a draw. He knows he's pulling this massive paycheck, and he feels really responsible for whether or not this movie succeeds and everybody else gets paid and that things continue to work.
What else could you ask for from your actor?
Yeah, the way that attitude kind of carries through into the movie, he's very much, like you said, like a Captain America type. Like he knows what to do, and it's kind of like this is going to sound like something I would not normally say, but he seems like the kind of person all men think they would be under pressure, hope they would be, where he's like, well, I have to do this. Like I have to risk drowning or whatever, because if I don't, everybody dies anyway if I don't do this.
Yep.
Like if I die to save one other person, that is acceptable for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is more of that.
Yeah, there were actually several moments in this movie that I thought to myself, how do you not just give up? How do you not just say, screw it, the world's done. I'm not there. What more can I do? Like I've done everything I can do, and yet roadblock. Like there's everything is conspiring against you to stop you from doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things happen and it's tough, and it's just really, there were some things that I really did enjoy in this movie. Some overly fantastical things that you had to really put aside your thinking brain for a little while, but that's okay. That's what sometimes that's why we want to go to the movie. I don't want to go to the movie and, you know, I don't necessarily always want to see a Shutter Island or what's the one, Dreams Inside the Dreams, Inception. Like I don't always want that. No, thank you. Sometimes I just want to go and sit down and enjoy my movie snacks and watch a movie and be entertained.
Yeah.
And that is what they are really trying to do, and have every single one of them. And maybe specifically because of what you just mentioned with Tom Cruise being the one who, I take this responsibility on myself.
And it's also his character. So I feel like there's probably a lot where he's like, yeah, he wouldn't do that, or he would do this or whatever. And he has the power to make sure nobody else is going.
An interview that I just saw based on that exact thing was the character who plays Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah.
He talked about, like, when he got cast for that he wanted this wig and he wanted to play it in a certain way.
Yeah, he was supposed to wear like a business suit or whatever and have short hair, and he was like, no, I feel like he's an aristocrat. He's like an old school, like dyed in the wool, like racist against non-magical people. Like I don't think that's how he'd be.
Really well.
Yeah, and they
like
said, I think you sent me that interview, and he was like,
okay.
or maybe I saw it independently, but I definitely saw it where he like came in and he had like this cape from the prop department. They're like, what is that? And he's like, I just feel like this is what he would have. And it was his idea to do like the wand hidden inside the cane. I love when when actors do stuff like that, when they clearly make the better choice.
Yeah, because
And they're allowed to.
Yeah, and they're like, well, you're doing this. You got cast for this part because we think you understand the character, and to have that trust and to listen as a director or producer or the one who's doing it and be like, no, we're not just going to do it my way because you know what, you said that and I'm hearing it. Well, let's give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. That's way better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just reminds me of that. And this was an entirely like 100% worth it. We don't want to make this one go super long.
Yeah, there were no characters that were clearly played by somebody who was the wife or husband or somebody involved that just got it because they're like, oh, we need somebody to do whatever. Everybody seemed like they were well cast. A lot of recognizable faces and characters from the past as well. And then
there's a submarine commander in this
the
movie.
submarine commander is what I was going to get into. I was going to say he was probably my favorite character. If there was, the next one should be like, it should just be a sub movie.
Can I just have that movie
I just
with
want,
him?
I just want to
I
follow
do 100% just want that.
He is so good, and what he reminded me of is Commander Sisko at the beginning of Deep Space Nine.
Yep.
Because he is so nothing. You get nothing.
I'm not
from him.
Picard.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, right, exactly. And it's like you have no idea if he's for or against you. There's only little hints of it. There's an episode where Julian, the doctor, allows Kira to stay on this planet to do whatever against his orders. And he's like, well, she wanted to stay to provide medical care for this guy. And he's like, so you ordered her to do it? He's like, no. And he goes, you ordered her to do it. He's like, sir, I'm going to order Major Kira to stay on the planet. And he's like, good. And it's like, oh, he's on your side. But you never know. And there's finally this moment
so good
where he starts like, you really get like, oh yeah, he's 100% on our side.
And I was like, oh, you want to poke the bear? He came to the right ship. I was so he was really good. But
he was so good.
I agree with you. Everybody in this did a good job. It was exactly what I kind of wanted it to be. A little bit fantastical. We're going to get into some of that in the spoiler version of this, but it absolutely qualifies as a top tier action movie that you're going to you're going to enjoy. In the long runtime, it did not feel like that.
It didn't feel long at all. And there was no like weird Marvel humor that ruined anything. There are still light moments and things like that, but nothing that takes you out of it. There's no really heavy moment. Ving Rhames says something profound or whatever, and then immediately you cut to Benji making a joke. They don't do anything like that. And there's no bizarre...
Okay, that's not... Hold on, there was a moment like that. There was. In our experience when we were watching the movie, there was a moment where something kind of big had just happened, but then it was quiet. The theater got quiet, and then right behind my right shoulder,
somebody reclined their leather seat, and it went...
They were...
I was like, what the fuck
He looked over at me. I'm trying to hold it together. I'm trying not to die laughing because as soon as it got quiet in the theater, this person behind me just rips one, and it was hilarious. Like nobody in the theater didn't hear that. Like everybody in the theater got the exact moment. I'm like, it was just been loud for the past 10 minutes, and now is the moment you just choose I'm letting it go now. It was so good.
And no distracting CGI either. Like I don't know what all was practical, but it was hard to tell.
There was a plane scene later on. I think a little bit of that I caught.
Yeah,
something that felt like that.
But there's no like rubbery like Wakanda mine fight or whatever. Remember from Black Panther, like where he's fighting Killmonger?
Yes.
Killmonger? Was that his name?
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan's character. And it just looks like kids banging action figures together. Like it just looks like they did not finish it, which they probably weren't given the time.
I mean, maybe.
But yeah, there's nothing like that. So it was really fun, really well done, really satisfying. If this is the end, I'm totally fine with that.
Yep.
If they choose to try to take it forward in some direction, I'm going to have to just trust that Tom is going to continue doing what he does, and he'll be pulling some strings from behind the scenes.
I'd really
It'd be nice if he was like the secretary now or something like that. If he took like some kind of leadership role,
I was thinking,
and did like a mentor thing, and then he can eventually step away from it or whatever. They can give him like a death scene, hopefully better than what Seagal got in that one movie where he just falls out of that fucking plane. I'll put up the title of the movie when I remember it during editing.
Was that one of his Oh, he had the submarine one, then he had another one. Under Siege was the one I'm thinking, like one of his really big.
It was
ones back in
one
the
where
day.
it was billed as a Seagal movie, and he died within the first like 10 minutes.
Colonel, we're not gonna make it! You are...
Not good.
Not a dignified way to go.
Not a dignified way to go. But Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning,
100% a watch.
100% a watch. It's totally worth it.
You
Tom
can
Cruise
also
giving you everything that you expect from him as a fantastic Hollywood actor.
apparently at AMC's when it actually did show the menu at the concession stand. 'Cause most of the time it shows ads now. Because we walked up and they're like, "What can I get you?" It's like,
I don't know.
I don't know. There are 4 ads for Lilo and Stitch up right now. I don't know what I can get. But one of them was a briefcase, some kind of briefcase combo thing.
briefcase
and then
combo.
there was a cup that
The cup had binoculars on
like
it.
working blacklight binoculars.
How the black light would go with the tin for the popcorn, and then you could see stuff on the tin. Of course, for Mission Impossible.
Anyway, totally a watch.
Yep,
So tune in next time for the spoiler version.
which is going to come at the same time this comes. So get ready.
Yeah, I might drop at the same time, or maybe a day apart.
Maybe a day. We'll see.
Whatever pleases the YouTube algorithm, because there's no art anymore. There's just content to pacify you in between ad breaks.
That's why we're here.
Not that that's what we're doing.
That's why I'm here. That's why.
That's why I don't like content creator for us. We are connoisseurs inflicting our opinions on the world.
You goddamn right.